Animation on YouTube has been around since the site was in its infancy. In the early days, you had channels like Egoraptor and Hot Diggity Demon who migrated from Newgrounds and found success posting short 2D animations. Though as the algorithm shifted to favor longer and more frequent content, these channels were forced to shift their focus to types of videos that could be released in a much shorter time span. That's not to say that animated content has been wiped completely from the site as a whole, but it definitely removed the ability to make a sufficient living off of it. Animation channels do exist on YouTube today, but in a much different form than the channels of the past. And most of the changes made to the genre have been in direct response to the algorithm change, since they use a series of switchable stills rather than full-fledged animation and are able to cut down on the time needed to complete each video. In general, most animation channels will merely incorporate aspects of animation into their work rather than producing fully developed animated videos. And with the recent increase in channels that prioritize this content, there have also been an uptick in channels critiquing them. Daft Pina and Foster come to mind as examples, at least in terms of people who specialize in critiquing storytime animators. Though both of them, as well as the rest of their community, have tended to focus their efforts on talking about poor quality channels in the animation genre for the sake of criticism, which I think is utterly stupid. Too many people are hung up on the lazy channels that they've begun to romanticize the channels of the past and insist that people aspire to be like them by putting more effort into their work as if to not come off as greedy and untalented. All while ignoring the fact that the old approach has been made impossible, and trying to emulate aspects from it and still make a living is nearly unachievable today. All in all, these commentary channels who seek to help these creators improve are just negative Nancies who are unknowingly hindering the growth of animation channels by ragging on them for making lazy content, when in actuality there's no reasonable approach that could be taken, and even their suggested subtle changes would have a drastically negative effect. The fact is that these channel reviewers are just shallow, greedy invalids who just want to cash in on popular names for money while putting themselves on a high horse under the grounds of criticism. That being said, I want to break this established norm and talk about a channel who I believe to be perfect in every single way, and acts as the embodiment of how one is able to pull off making animated content on YouTube in the current year without having to resort to effortful tactics like those retarded commentary channels like to talk about so much. That channel, of course, being LHugueny. LHugueny is a channel with 2 million subscribers who produces short animated song parodies centering around new and popular movies, games, and internet trends. Now, despite this channel being perfect in every way, a lot of smaller YouTubers have been very critical of it for the past several years. Frankly, I believe this criticism is hypocritical and unjustified since many of the channels issuing these complaints are just as lazy and low quality as they claim LHugueny is. So hopefully with this video I will dispel any negative rumors you may have heard about LHugueny and leave you knowing exactly why he's the very best channel on this entire website, both in terms of animation quality and moral integrity. LHugueny, or
Logan Hugueny Clark,
began his YouTube career in 2011, branding himself as Happy Satellite Productions, which he would later change to just LHugueny. The channel had been created as a hobby in his leisure time while he actively pursued a career in the animation industry while living in Hollywood, California. He was 24 at this point and had just finished a degree in animation from the Rhode Island School of Design, and having studied under the same professor as critically acclaimed writer/actor Seth MacFarlane, who created hit TV programs such as The Cleveland Show. However, despite his training, Logan was not able to find any opportune work and his career was stuck in limbo as he tried to compete in an oversaturated market. But in the midst of this, he posted his animations to YouTube. His abilities proved to be limited at the time, but he would steadily improve and work his way up to Flash animation. The videos themselves were seemingly random in terms of subject matter and tended to have very simplistic plots while utilizing characters from pre-existing game and movie franchises. After having done this for a while with no success, his luck changed when he made an animated song parody centered around the Titanic movie and got a viral hit. From here, he would go on to cease production on everything but animated music parodies. Unlike his old work, which possessed some form of originality in terms of topics and shallow plots, the animated music videos will simply focus on whichever game or movie is popular at the time he decides to start working and will just retell the plot of said piece of media. And when he makes a video that expands his audience, he makes sure that the people who subscribe to him stay happy by making videos just like the one they came for. And this even tends to snowball and help his audience grow. He'll then do this over and over again until he grows as much as possible. Some may call this shameless, uncreative pandering for the sake of cashing in on trends, but I like to use the phrase effective allocation of time and resources. After all, so many animation channels today possess some level of originality, but LHugueny breaks the mold and makes music parodies with no trace of it. Truly, one of the greatest innovators of our time. Unfortunately, he does produce original animations every once in a while. Some of these focus on politics or YouTube drama, but luckily they're mixed into an otherwise homogeneous collection of music parodies, so don't worry, he's not too original. As for the quality of the videos themselves, LHugueny has been criticized for his style, which is fairly limited in terms of animation. Motion oftentimes consists only of characters swaying back and forth and bending in weird and unnatural ways, but apparently, unknowing to many, this is what makes his content great. In a world where fluid animation is almost unheard of, LHugueny defies expectations by having his characters constantly moving in order to milk all 30 frames per second and give the viewer a unique and surreal experience. Some often say that bending and contorting the bodies of his characters make his animations look stiff, but this is actually actually a purposeful tactic which helps pay homage to the stop-motion animated movies of the 60s, which were typically uncanny in their approach. An aesthetic that LHugueny has emulated beautifully. Simply brilliant. Now, given the fact that he's been releasing new animations for years, you may expect a noticeable incline when examining the quality of both design and movement in his animations, and fortunately for you, you'd be completely wrong. His overall quality did experience an uptick within the first year of consistently releasing videos, but in the past 5 years, the quality has remained completely consistent with no noticeable increase. Now, some might say this is a bad thing, but think about it this way. When you watch older videos from a creator you like, the downgrade in quality is often jarring and makes them harder to watch because the flaws are made apparent in comparison to their newer videos. In essence, this alienates a good portion of a creator's backlog from their audience who are dissuaded from watching them because they haven't aged well. But with LHugueny, however, you don't have to worry about that. You can watch any video of his and see the same level of quality all the way back to 2012, which makes his content timeless. Part of how he's able to keep his style so consistent for so long is directly tracing a large amount of his animations. More often than not, the majority of objects, backgrounds, and even character faces are directly traced from screenshots of the media he's choosing to parody, and he's even kind enough to add speed art to this to the behind-the-scenes videos of each animation. I've seen this cited as a flaw by some of those retarded, slow-speaking critics, but if you think tracing is a flaw, then you must have literal brain damage to the highest extent, because how else are you supposed to draw something? Everyone knows that art is based on mimicry, and if you don't trace, your drawings will look absolutely horrible. I mean, unless of course you have skill, but who needs that anyways? And when he's done masterfully tracing half the assets of a video, he reuses various animation cycles, sometimes even within 2 consecutive shots. That way you get to experience it all over again. And better yet, the opposite is also true. There are times where the animation will just stop entirely and characters will freeze in place. But this is done as a means of putting more emphasis on what he wants you to be looking at. That way you won't find your eyes wandering to background characters and lose track of the main events. Honestly, some movies do this and it's sensory overload, so it's nice to see someone like Logan stand in opposition by doing the polar opposite. But aside from being a generous animator, Logan is also a very skilled lyricist. Just look at his Rick and Morty rap battle.
I'm watching LHugueny videos if you must know.
Oh god, that's much worse. You should have just said you were watching porn instead. I wouldn't have even judged you for that, Morty.
Wait, no, sorry, wrong part.
You make bad decisions into a form of art. Just like the time you had to save a mind-reading fart. Your horny teen angst forces me into shitty situations. Like forcing Jessica to love you, which turned mankind into mutations. I throw kick-ass parties.
And yes, all of his songs are more or less up to this same high standard of quality. Now, the words don't always fit perfectly, but that's okay. Just say them really fast and it'll probably work out. A lot of people also give him crap for auto-tuning every single line, but as we all know, auto-tuning helps match the vocals to the tune, so why wouldn't you want to use auto-tune? I mean, everyone else in Hollywood uses it.
Upon the ashes of a Boston sits the Commonwealth I'm lost in. There is no order, there's just sin.
Oh, and if you can't understand the lyrics because of how heavily auto-tuned they are, don't worry, that's what the captions are for. I think it's safe to say that Logan has thought of everything. Also, as Logan himself says, he sounds horrible without it.
Alright, time for my parts. And it's gonna sound like shit, but I'm putting a little auto-tune on it, so you hear it before. And you will never tell me to not use auto-tune again.
I heard screaming next door, I peeked inside to see.
Oh wait, that's not the lyric.
The same can be applied to his wife, who will often voice lyrics in his videos whenever there's a female character.
Then I'll escape out from the depths.
Now, despite there being nothing wrong with adjusting the vocals as much as he does, you might be wondering why he's so willing to outsource the animation aspect, yet not bring in someone else to record a cover of his songs. Now, once you've gone and binged all his videos like I have, you might notice that some of the tunes sound a bit familiar, and that's because LHugueny's music videos are song parodies, meaning they use a pre-made song and swap out the lyrics with ones that relate to whatever the video is talking about. Well, that's not actually what a parody is. But luckily for us, Logan's not risking it either way thanks to a genius ploy he's developed, which is to not credit the original songs in order to avoid automatic copyright detection.
A lot of you have been asking, why don't you put the name of the song you're parodying? And technically parodies are completely legal forms, works of art, and however, when we put the title of the song we're parodying, usually the legal representatives of those artists come after us, and then instead of making more videos for you guys, we're stuck in legal battles over views and money, which is just a waste of freaking time.
Now, even though it's 100% legal not to credit an original song when making a parody, a lot of people would argue that not doing so is very scummy since it gatekeeps LHugueny viewers from being able to view the original too. But in my opinion, LHugueny's songs transcend their original counterparts, and linking them would be pointless ridiculous since no one in their right mind would choose to listen to any other rendition. Now, being a 21st century visionary isn't easy, and you're probably curious what tools Logan uses to pull it off. Well, it's actually quite simple. He has a standard $150 Yeti mic that's a carbon copy of my own, mixes his music with GarageBand, and does his animating on Adobe Flash. You might wonder why a person with a vastly successful YouTube channel built around singing uses a fairly subpar mic and song equipment. Well, it's because Logan's talent is so otherwise unrestrained that it needs a bottleneck to cut down the quality so it's even able to be viewable by a typical mortal human. Much like the Emperor's clothes are only viewable to those who are worthy of their career and status, so too would LHugueny videos only be able to be viewed by those who are truly able to open their minds and find appreciation for his masterful work. Now, in terms of Logan's content, there's not much else to say, but like many other YouTubers, he's gotten into some drama in the past, and there was a specific instance 2 years ago that led a bunch of subpar leeches to make videos defaming his good name. Apparently, in late July of 2016, Logan encountered a channel called Jello Gluestick who'd made a cringe compilation in which footage of Logan's work was used. And this was likely an excerpt from his Undertale video, which scandalous haters will often cite as his worst animation. All while being blind to the fact that all of Logan's videos are perfect in every way and that unenlightened heathens such as them are not even able to comprehend the infinite complexity of his work. But I digress. What became of this, however, was Logan filing 3 consecutive copyright strikes in order to delete the channel. I say good on him. It's unknown how much footage was used in these compilations, but even if it was just a few seconds, I say Jello had no right to defile Logan's masterful creations in such a manner. And Logan had a right to remove every second of his copyrighted property. Now, I may have said before that LHugueny is perfect in every way, but it may surprise a lot of you to know that he has some negative qualities as well. Shocking, yes, but despite what most may believe, he is human too. I think, at least. One of his major flaws is that he puts effort into his animations, and when he isn't outsourcing his animation to someone else, he is still doing a lot of work to create his videos, which is honestly a disgrace. The great Logan Hugueny Clark is wasting his valuable time with mortal affairs while he should be enjoying the benefits that come with enlightenment, such as meditation or something, I don't know. Now, as far as I can tell, the only other flaw he has is very tragic, yet it's a truth we all have to come to terms with. I'm sorry I haven't addressed it yet in this video, but I think most of you have figured it out through the visuals. That being, Logan, or LHugueny, is a tumor. Has a tumor.
The doctors discovered a brain tumor in my head. I know this may seem terrible, but I actually consider myself lucky. This is because the tumor is not growing for now, and if it starts to, it's on the outskirts of my brain so that it wouldn't be too difficult to remove. I might have to get surgery soon, and I hate the thought of getting my skull sawed open, but at least I know that it can be treated.
Oh, and also he sucks.
This is fucking annoying. I don't know why you people are watching this shit anymore.